under occupation. And the Jews make dua that, Ya Allah, when will you give us back our city? When will you give us back our izzah? When will you give us back our strength? We've been living for so long, we remember the glory days of Nabi Sulaiman, Nabi Dawood. When are we going to get there? And Ya Allah, if you send us a Messiah, the Messiah, the Masih, is a concept of the Jews. The concept of the Bani Israel. He is a promised one who will take them out of their subjugation and he will return them to their izzah. And so Allah sent them a Messiah. Allah sent them a Nabi, born from a virgin, who could speak as a baby, who could heal the sick and resurrect the dead. He was the Messiah. But the Jews rejected him. They didn't accept him. In fact, they tried to kill him. And subhanAllah, the one that they had been hoping for and praying for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him away. And because of that, Allah would then punish the Jews with their worst subjugation ever. The Romans, now this is 2,000 years ago. Nabi Isa was 2,000 years ago, before Nabi Isa had come. 2,000 years ago, when they had rejected Nabi Isa, they accepted a false Messiah. The Romans entered Jerusalem and destroyed whatever they had there of their masjid and had expelled the Jews completely from Jerusalem. So while they were living in Jerusalem under their control, but now they were kicked out completely. And this was the end of the Jews living in Jerusalem. The Jews were not in Jerusalem. When the Nabi Sallam enters Masjid al-Aqsa, or when Sayyidina Umar conquers Masjid al-Aqsa, when the Muslims conquer Jerusalem, there's not a single Jew in there. And inshallah we'll leave this for the next part of this discussion. Remember, the whole concept of a Messiah and Dajjal is the return of the Jews back to Jerusalem and the re-establishment of a kingdom for the Jews. And the only time this has happened, 78 years ago, the establishment of the State of Israel. And that is why when we see what's going on in the world, it is as if though prophecy is being fulfilled from a Christian and Jewish perspective. That the Jews, after so many thousands of years, since the time of Nabi Sulaiman, they have been returned to their land. And their Messiah will come to conquer the world. And perhaps as part 2, we'll talk about the time of the Muslims ruling over Palestine and the age that we are living in, the precursor of Dajjal. I always thought as a child, if you live in the time of Dajjal, surely you'll know the good guys and the bad guys. Now we see a genocide live on your TV. You can see children being bombed, but still people are convinced of what they're convinced. And this is exactly what Dajjal means. It's Dajjala, it's deception. You're not knowing the truth from falsehood. And the stage and the steps are coming there. And so that is why, inshallah, when we talk about this, I think in part 2 on the night of Ruah, we'll talk about we living in this age, the coming of the precursor to Dajjal. How do we protect ourselves? How do we learn the truth, the falsehood? Where do we sit in here? This land, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys? Because really that's what it's all about. After what happened in 7th of October, unless I try to listen to as much of the podcast from the Christians as well, and they are convinced that our Messiah and our Imam Mahdi will be their Antichrist. And similarly, the more you listen to their Messiah will have supernatural powers. Their Messiah, they believe, is God in human form. Their Messiah will be worshipped. This lines up with Dajjal. That's why the world is going to be split. And what you see the world splitting now, pro-Gaza, pro-Israel, is really the kind of split that we will see, Allah protect, the coming of Dajjal. And the only way to protect yourself is to know these facts. Sometimes it's a bit raw, it's a bit tiring, but our kids must know these things because we are living in that age. And things are happening very, very quickly now. Things are really happening very quickly. And Allah Alam, how quickly this happens. I end with this hadith, and Nabi says that when the coming of Dajjal occurs, there will be a great war. Dajjal will appear, Imam Mahdi will appear, Nabi Isa. All of this will happen in the span of three years. Very, very quickly, things will unfold rapidly. And we now have a situation where the technology, where the world is so interconnected, where everything is available, where this can happen very soon. So we make dua for Allah's protection. We'll continue part 2 of the history of Palestine. The next chapter would be the Muslims. When did we arrive? How did we get there? What happened under Islamic rule? And in the future, what will happen, inshallah. We've got five minutes or so. before Isha, maybe a Q&A, if anybody would like to ask a question. The masjid the energy is low, I can see it's tiring. Long day. Any questions? No? No? Anybody? Okay, inshallah. It's like that colonized Bani Israel mindset, Be like Nabi Musa, ask questions. But inshallah, okay, inshallah. Then we'll continue in 2 weeks' time. Allah bless us for Ramadan. Allah barakna fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. May Allah bless us. May Allah grant that Ramadan brings us closer to Him. May Allah subhanahu grant prosperity and help for those who are going through hardship. May Allah make dua for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. The least we can do is speak about this. The least we can do is say that we are connected in this ummah. And may Allah grant izzah and strength to the mujahideen throughout the world. May Allah grant those who are suffering, make it easy. For those who have lost their loved ones, may Allah grant them Jannatul Firdaus. For those who have lost their homes, may Allah replace it with something better. And may Allah grant all of us Jannah. Ameen. Wa sallallahu sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam mursaleen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.